The luminous labyrinth asterisk the moment I stepped into the forest of whispering shadows, I knew that nothing would ever be the same again. The air shimmered as though reality itself had grown thin, and the faint hum of something ancient vibrated through my bones. I had heard the legends as a child, whispered in the flickering light of candlelit rooms, tales of a place where the threads of fate were woven visibly, yet dangerously. They said the forest would reveal truths you were not ready to face, and yet, here I was, drawn by a force I could neither name nor resist. Every step I took upon the soft, moss-covered ground echoed with a subtle, almost melodic resonance, like the forest itself was listening, waiting. Shadows moved in ways that defied logic, flickering at the edges of perception, and I realized with an unsettling clarity that the forest was alive not only in form, but in intention. I could feel it probing, questioning, testing my resolve. The trees, impossibly tall and ancient, loomed over me, their gnarled branches twisting into shapes that suggested eyes, faces, and forms I could not place. Light pierced through the canopy in fractured beams, catching dust motes that danced in patterns reminiscent of symbols I had only ever seen in old texts, long forgotten by time. Each step seemed to pull me further from the world I knew and closer to one I could only sense at the periphery of my understanding. And then I heard a voice, barely above a whisper, yet resonant enough to vibrate within my chest. You seek what lies within or merely what you hope to find. It was impossible to tell where it came from, and yet it felt as if it had been spoken directly into my mind. My heart quickened, a mixture of anticipation and an odd, nameless fear that had nothing to do with danger. This was curiosity tinged with destiny, the kind of feeling that made every rational thought seem irrelevant. I knew I should turn back, retrace my steps to the comfort of the known world, yet some unspoken understanding pushed me forward. I followed the whispering voice deeper, my senses sharpening in ways that left the ordinary behind. The forest opened into a clearing bathed in silver light, though the source remained hidden, as though the illumination came from the air itself. In the center, an archway formed from twisted roots and vines stood like a doorway to another realm. The whispering voice guided me closer. As I crossed the threshold, the air thickened, scented with the mingling of ancient rain and wildflowers. But beneath it lingered something more, an underlying note of something vast, timeless, and intelligent. Beyond the archway, the forest transformed. Colors became more vivid, sounds more resonant, as if the world itself had been tuned to an entirely different scale. Paths twisted in impossible geometries, looping back upon themselves, leading me in circles that made the journey feel endless, yet inevitable. And there, in the midst of this labyrinthine expanse, I saw a pool of liquid light, shimmering with hues I could not name, reflecting visions of lives I had not lived, choices I had not made, and possibilities I could not yet comprehend. Drawn to it, I knelt at its edge, and the water rippled in response, not from the wind or motion, but as if recognizing my presence, acknowledging the weight of the moment. And then the pool spoke not in words, but in feelings, in memories, in fragments of knowledge that surged into me without warning. I saw the labyrinth as it truly was, not merely a forest, but a nexus of countless worlds, each path a choice, each shadow of potential, each light a revelation. I felt the tension of unseen forces, of destinies converging, colliding, bending around the fragile line of my existence. And yet, beneath it all, there was a singular truth. I had been called, summoned by the labyrinth itself, chosen for reasons I could not yet grasp. The revelation was intoxicating, terrifying, and exhilarating all at once. But before I could linger, before I could even process the enormity of the insight, a movement caught my eye, a figure, almost imperceptible, standing at the far edge of the pool. Not fully human, not entirely ethereal. It observed me with a gaze that seemed to pierce not just through flesh, but through thought, through intention, into the core of being. You have arrived, it said, voice a harmonious blend of melody and resonance, vibrating with a power that made the air itself quiver. I found myself unable to respond, words failing against the weight of the presence before me. The labyrinth tests all who enter, it continued, not by challenge or by trial, but by reflection. To walk its paths is to confront every hidden part of yourself, every truth you have avoided, every desire you have yet to acknowledge. I wanted to turn, to run, to escape the enormity of the forest's attention. Yet my body refused. It moved forward, though silently, like a ripple across the surface of a still lake. Many come seeking answers, it said, but few understand that knowledge has a price. The labyrinth gives, yet it also takes. Every insight, every vision, demands a payment in awareness. Are you prepared for that cost? The question settled over me like a heavy, invisible cloak. I could feel the weight of countless eyes upon me, unseen, watching, waiting for my choice. And in that instant, a memory not my own surged into my mind, a moment of laughter, of tears, of courage and hesitation intertwined in a tapestry of life I had never lived but somehow recognized. I realized then that the labyrinth's test was not of bravery, nor of strength, but of comprehension, of surrender, of the willingness to see beyond the self and into the infinite. I nodded, though the figure could not see it, though my gesture felt meaningless against the immensity of what lay before me. Then begin, it said, and the pool of liquid light swirled, expanding outward until it enveloped the clearing, until the trees themselves seemed to bend into paths of illumination, leading me onward. I stepped forward, and the world shifted beneath my feet. The paths wound, twisted, spiraled upward into the canopy, downward into hidden caverns beneath roots older than time. Each turn revealed visions, not of the outside world, but of the labyrinth within the hidden chambers of memory, the corridors of longing, the vaults of desire and fear. Sometimes I would stumble upon a mirror, reflecting not my form, but my essence, a composite of choice and consequence, hope and regret. I would reach out, and the reflection would ripple, showing what might be if courage faltered, if wisdom wavered, if the heart surrendered or resisted. I met beings along the way, not always visible, but always present companions, guides, sometimes challengers, each a fragment of the labyrinth's consciousness, each offering insight, question, or reflection. I spoke with them, argued with them, sometimes felt their presence as warmth, sometimes as a chill that prickled the skin. They asked questions I could not answer, showed paths I could not walk, yet their influence guided me nonetheless. Hours or days passed, I could not tell which dissolved into a continuum of perception where the ordinary measures of time held no meaning. Hunger, fatigue, even fear were secondary to the pressing, relentless awareness of being observed, measured, and shaped by the labyrinth's will. And then, at the point where I thought the journey could spiral no further, I came to a chamber unlike any other, a vast hall of crystal and shadow, where reflections multiplied endlessly, stretching into dimensions I could not name. At its center, suspended in light, was an object I did not recognize, yet my soul recognized instantly. It was a key, though not of metal or stone, but of pure intention, radiating possibility. I reached out, and the instant my fingers brushed the aura, understanding flooded me. The key was not to doors, but to the labyrinth itself, to its logic, its pattern, its secret heartbeat. I realized I could navigate paths, bend shadows, shape reflections, yet always within the labyrinth's consciousness. It was alive, aware, responsive, and in that realization, a question arose, not spoken, but felt, vibrating at the core of thought. Would I use this knowledge to explore, to unravel, to understand, or would I lose myself entirely in its infinite corridors? The figure returned, silent, observing. You have taken the first step, it said, but the labyrinth does not yield easily. Every gift it grants is a mirror of choice. What will you become in its reflection? The weight of the question pressed down like gravity, but within it was the thrill of discovery, of potential, of the endless unfolding of self in a world that both feared and cherished my presence. And as I stepped deeper into the hall, the keys of the labyrinth resonating within me, I knew that whatever lay ahead would shape not only my destiny, but the very nature of understanding itself. For in this forest, in these paths, in this luminous, breathing labyrinth, the ordinary was impossible, the eternal was tangible, and the adventure, the true, profound adventure, had only just begun. The corridors of the labyrinth shifted with each breath I took, folding and unfolding as though the forest itself were alive in motion, aware of my presence, testing my intentions. The key pulsed in my grasp, not a mere object, but an extension of thought, a bridge between the seen and unseen. Light twisted along the walls, forming patterns that suggested faces, memories, and possibilities I could almost recognize, yet could not name. Each step resonated with a hum that seemed to originate not from the ground beneath me, but from the core of the labyrinth itself, vibrating through bone and sinew. The path before me split into three directions, none marked by reason, all chosen by instinct alone. I hesitated, realizing instinct was both a compass and a trap in a place where thought and desire merged indistinguishably. I chose the left path, and the air thickened, rich with the scent of rain on stone and a faint, indefinable sweetness, like the memory of joy the first could not recall having lived, Shadows moved along the walls, sometimes in sync with my steps, sometimes independently, tracing patterns of events that had not yet occurred, yet felt familiar. I reached a bridge, suspended over a chasm of swirling light that seemed to stretch into infinity. Each step caused ripples in the glow beneath, revealing glimpses of worlds, lives, and stories interwoven in a delicate lattice of possibility. The bridge was unstable, not in structure, but in perception, as if it existed simultaneously in multiple dimensions, waiting to see if I could trust my balance, my judgment, my resolve. Midway, a figure appeared on the opposite side, its form shimmering, indistinct, yet impossibly compelling. It did not speak, but I felt its thoughts, layered with curiosity, challenge, and a strange, magnetic warmth. "Why do you linger?" I asked aloud, though sound seemed inconsequential in this place. "Because questions are as vital as answers," it replied, not with words, but with a resonance that vibrated through my chest. I realized that here, dialogue was not limited to voice. It was thought, emotion, and perception intertwined. We moved simultaneously, closer and farther apart, walking the bridge in a rhythm that felt predestined, yet entirely my own. The figure guided me without guiding, shaping the flow of the path while leaving choice intact. At the bridge's end, the chasm below deepened, light fracturing into a prism of possibilities. The figure gestured, and suddenly, the labyrinth revealed another layer, a stairway of floating steps, each carved from solidified light, spiraling upward toward a canopy that seemed to pulse with a living heartbeat. I climbed, each step a test, each ascent demanding trust in forces beyond comprehension. Below, shadows lingered, suggesting paths I had not taken, possibilities abandoned, decisions deferred. Above, the light thickened, warm and suffocatingly brilliant, revealing glimpses of a vast hall lined with crystalline pillars that reflected countless versions of myself. The figure remained beside me, but I sensed that its purpose was not to lead, but to awaken. "Every choice echoes," it said, and I felt the truth in a rush of sensation. The labyrinth was not merely a place, but a mirror, and I was both observer and participant, sculptor and sculpture. At the summit, the stairway opened into the Hall of Reflections, a cathedral of crystal where the air shimmered with colors beyond vocabulary. Mirrors did not reflect my form, but my essence, memories woven with dreams, fears intertwined with courage, all stretched across infinite surfaces. I approached one and reached out, expecting the cold solidity of glass, but felt warm, pulsing like living tissue. The reflection stirred, responding to my intent, forming expressions I could not fabricate, revealing layers of self I had ignored, discarded, or never dared to explore. I stepped back, overwhelmed, and the hall rippled, shifting into a new configuration. Pathways appeared that led deeper into unknown chambers, each promising insight, challenge, or revelation. And then the figure spoke again, its tone resonating as much with emotion as meaning. "The labyrinth asks not who you are, but who you are willing to become." I understood. To advance was not simply to walk, but to evolve. I walked toward a corridor lined with pulsating lights, each hum resonating with a different fragment of memory. As I passed, I felt my perceptions shift. Thoughts once buried rose to consciousness, desires and fears entwined, forming a tapestry of understanding that was as exhilarating as it was disorienting. Midway, a door appeared, not built of wood or stone, but of shadow and sound, responding to presence rather than touch. Hesitating, I extended the key, which reacted instantly, its glow matching the rhythm of the door, vibrating with recognition. The door parted, revealing a garden suspended in midair, a landscape of impossible geometry, with rivers of liquid light and trees that swayed though no wind existed. Here, time seemed to fold upon itself, past and future coexisting in a delicate, breathtaking balance. Creatures, neither wholly real nor imagined, moved gracefully among the flora, their forms shimmering with translucent beauty, eyes reflecting the vastness of knowledge they carried. I realized the garden was not merely a place, but a lesson, that understanding and beauty often coexist in contradiction, and perception could be as fragile as it was profound. I wandered the garden, each step awakening fragments of memory that did not belong solely to me, but to the labyrinth itself. Whispers rose from the rivers, hinting at stories, choices, and truths that demanded recognition. I felt a profound connection, a thread linking me to every being, every path, every choice I had ever encountered in the labyrinth. And then, at the center, a pedestal rose, cradling a sphere of light, suspended in perfect stillness. Drawn to it, I reached out, and the sphere expanded, enveloping me in warmth and vision. I saw the labyrinth not as a path, but as a living consciousness, infinite in scope, and yet intimately aware of every step, every hesitation, every heartbeat of those who entered. The figure appeared beside me, their form now solid, clear, yet imbued with the same radiance as the sphere. To know the labyrinth, it said, is to know yourself, but to master it is to embrace the unknown without fear. I understood that mastery was not dominance, but harmony, an alignment of intent with the pulse of existence itself. I felt the key resonate, responding to my acceptance, and in that moment, the labyrinth shifted again, revealing countless new corridors, chambers, and gardens, each more wondrous, challenging, and illuminating than the last. I realized then that the journey was endless, not in a cruel sense, but in a way that mirrored the infinite potential within every conscious being. Every choice, every reflection, every interaction would shape not only the labyrinth, but the person I was becoming. And as I stepped forward, the figure smiled, a gesture of profound understanding. You have begun, they said, but the true path lies in the courage to continue, to see, to feel, and to evolve. The corridors stretched before me, alive with possibility, and I walked on, heart open, mind alert. Every sense attuned to the whispers, the reflections, and the infinite beauty of the labyrinth that had called me, transformed me, and would continue to shape me long after the echoes of this first encounter had faded into the luminous tapestry of eternity. The labyrinth no longer felt like a place I had entered. It had become an extension of thought, an ever-shifting landscape that mirrored the depths of my own consciousness. Every step resonated with possibility, every shadow suggested choice, every beam of light whispered of truth. I moved through corridors that twisted impossibly, walls folding over themselves, opening and closing like breathing beings, guiding without forcing, questioning without demanding. The key pulsed in rhythm with my heartbeat, a constant reminder that I was both participant and observer, sculptor and clay, caught in a dance with something vast and conscious. I came upon a hall filled with suspended orbs of silver light, each spinning slowly, reflecting fragments of moments I could not name yet felt intimately connected to. They flickered and shifted, creating patterns that suggested stories, possibilities, outcomes, consequences. I reached toward one, and in an instant, the orb expanded, wrapping around me in a cocoon of sensation. Memories surged, not my own entirely, but woven from threads of the labyrinth itself, moments of triumph, hesitation, wonder, and loss from lives I had never lived. I felt the joy of discovery, the pang of regret, the sharp thrill of insight, each sensation layered upon the other, impossible to untangle yet beautiful in its complexity. As I absorbed the experience, I realized that the labyrinth was teaching me not through instruction, but through immersion. That understanding here came from surrender, not control. Emerging from the orb, I found a path of light stretching forward, composed of shifting tiles that rose and fell beneath my feet. Each step caused the path to reform, the tiles rearranging according to impulses I could not fully control, guided as much by intuition as by intention. Shadows flickered along the edges, suggesting doorways, windows, and openings into realms unseen. I followed one shadowed corridor and found a chamber filled with statues carved from a translucent material that seemed to pulse with light. Each figure held an object, a key, a flame, a mirror, a whisper of sound captured in crystal. I approached a figure whose face reflected my own, eyes deep and knowing. Its hand extended toward me, and in it lay a small crystal shaped like a heart. The moment I touched it, visions surged of connections unseen, paths I had taken, choices I had not, intersections of fate beyond comprehension. I understood that every object, every figure, every shimmer of light was part of a network, a vast tapestry of interwoven consciousness, and that my presence was not accidental. I was both catalyst and witness, actor and spectator in a story larger than comprehension. The statues seemed to shift, turning their faces toward one another, creating patterns I could not anticipate. Light and shadow danced across the chamber, creating illusions of movement, depth, and possibility. I walked carefully, aware that each step could trigger revelation, each misstep could close a doorway or open another, and yet the labyrinth did not punish. It responded, alive with an intelligence that was at once nurturing and demanding. I reached a narrow corridor where the walls themselves flowed like water, rippling with the passage of thought and emotion. I placed my hand against the surface, and the water-like wall parted, revealing a vista that defied reason, a sky of shifting colors, rivers of light, mountains suspended in midair, and creatures that moved gracefully, neither solid nor ethereal, yet unmistakably aware. A voice, soft and melodic, emerged from the colors themselves. The labyrinth is not a place to conquer, but a reflection of courage and perception. What you see is limited only by what you are willing to perceive. I realized then that perception was a key as powerful as the one I held in my hand. That understanding required openness. That mastery was harmony, not domination. I wandered the sky-like expanse, feeling the pull of innumerable paths, each offering insight, challenge, and revelation. I encountered beings, each unique, each offering fragments of wisdom or reflection. Never answers, only perspective. Some challenged my assumptions, some mirrored my thoughts, some simply existed, teaching me through presence rather than instruction. Hours or days passed I could not distinguish, for the labyrinth had its own rhythm, its own pulse, and time was fluid within its boundaries. Eventually, I arrived at a crystalline tower that spiraled upward, impossibly tall, tapering to a point lost in light. The entrance awaited, a doorway framed by glowing runes that shimmered and shifted with every blink. I stepped inside, feeling the key resonate more strongly than ever, as if recognizing a deeper purpose. Inside, the tower was a series of chambers stacked upon one another, each chamber revealing layers of understanding, mirrors reflecting multiple selves, pools showing paths unchosen, and walls inscribed with symbols that spoke directly to thought and emotion. I paused in one chamber where a mirror reflected a younger version of myself, unburdened by expectation, fear, or hesitation. The reflection spoke without words. "You are ready to see beyond the surface." I nodded, understanding that readiness was not permission but acknowledgement of responsibility. The spiral continued, twisting and turning in ways that defied geometry, and with each ascent, the air thickened, vibrant with energy, rich with the scent of rain and flowers yet to bloom. At the apex, the tower opened into a dome of pure light, a vault of radiance that revealed the labyrinth in its entirety, sprawling infinitely in all directions, paths twisting and converging, folding upon themselves, yet harmoniously. I stood at the center, the key pulsing in rhythm with the labyrinth's heartbeat. The figure appeared beside me once more, clarity and radiance blending with form, a presence both guiding and observing. "The labyrinth shows you what is and what may be," it said, voice resonating with the infinite. "It teaches that every path is intertwined, every choice echoes. And understanding comes not from certainty but from engagement, from the courage to step forward despite the unknown." I felt the weight and the exhilaration simultaneously. Awareness of the infinite possibilities, understanding of the delicate balance between freedom and structure, and recognition that my journey was only beginning. The labyrinth pulsed around me, alive, conscious, responsive. Every reflection, every light, every shadow was connected, an eternal dance of perception and existence. And I knew that I had become part of that dance, both observer and participant, shaping and shaped, forever moving forward, discovering not just the labyrinth but the vast, uncharted expanse of self. As I stepped away from the center, the key resonated with deeper purpose, illuminating paths previously unseen, calling me toward realms of insight yet unexplored. The figure's form shimmered, a promise rather than instruction. "Walk with awareness," it said, "for the labyrinth will not guide without testing, nor reveal without questioning. But it will show you who you are, and what you may become, if you dare to see." I moved into the next corridor, the light and shadows bending to the rhythm of my heartbeat, aware that every step was both discovery and creation, that every path held revelation, and that the labyrinth, infinite and alive, had become both my teacher and my companion. The journey stretched before me, vast, luminous, and eternal, and I stepped forward, ready to embrace the next layer, the next challenge, the next reflection, knowing that the true adventure was not merely in movement, but in understanding, in surrender, and in the courage to become part of something far greater than the self. The labyrinth pulsed around me, alive with rhythms I could feel but not name, each corridor a melody of light and shadow, each chamber a chord resonating deep within thought and being. I moved through halls that twisted impossibly, folding over themselves, revealing new pathways with every blink, every breath, as if the labyrinth anticipated my desire to explore and my fear of losing direction. The key in my hand thrummed, a living extension of intention, attuned to the rhythm of this world, vibrating with subtle insistence that I notice, that I feel, that I understand. I came to a chamber filled with floating glyphs, symbols of light suspended in the air, spinning lazily, shifting in patterns that suggested language, thought, and memory intertwined. Each glyph carried resonance, a weight of meaning I could not fully comprehend but could sense. as if my mind brushed against truths older than time. I reached toward one, and the moment my fingers neared it, the glyph expanded, filling the space with a vision so vivid it made my chest ache. I saw myself walking 1,000 paths simultaneously, each step diverging and converging, some fading into mist, others bright and sharp as crystal. I realized that the labyrinth was a reflection of choice, a manifestation of potential, infinite in its design yet intimately tied to the consciousness navigating it. Emerging from the vision, I moved forward into a corridor lined with mirrors of liquid light. Each reflected not form but essence, twisting and rearranging to reveal fragments of desire, fear, courage, and hesitation. The reflections whispered without words, offering insight that was as profound as it was disorienting. Some showed futures I might embrace, others revealed truths I had hidden even from myself. Yet all were undeniable, unavoidable, impossible to ignore. The path led me upward, into a spiraling tower of luminous crystal, each step revealing new chambers stacked like facets of a gem. One chamber contained a pool of light, so still it mirrored the soul rather than the body. I leaned over the edge and saw not my reflection, but the interwoven tapestry of the labyrinth itself. Corridors folding upon corridors, paths twisting into impossible shapes, and within them, the faintest echoes of every being who had ever walked here, or ever would. The realization hit me with a thrill I could barely contain. The labyrinth was not merely a place, but a living consciousness, responsive to perception, thought, and emotion, infinite in scope yet intimately connected to those who entered. I stepped back, the key glowing brighter, reacting to the awareness that surged within me. The figure appeared again, radiant, neither fully human nor entirely ethereal, and its presence brought a strange comfort. "You see the labyrinth now," it said, "not as walls or corridors, but as reflection, as possibility, as living thought. To walk it is to understand that every choice resonates, every hesitation echoes, every insight transforms." I followed the figure down a corridor that seemed to bend in multiple directions at once. The walls shimmered with visions, moments from lives I had never lived, fragments of decisions I had yet to make, shadows of paths I would one day traverse. I realized that the labyrinth was teaching me not through direction, but through immersion, showing me that understanding and transformation required both courage and surrender. A chamber opened, filled with bridges of light spanning chasms of shimmering darkness. The bridges pulsed and shifted beneath my feet, responsive to balance and intention, each step a test, each crossing a revelation. As I moved, the air vibrated with whispers, stories unfolding in soundless symphonies, threads of memory interweaving with potential and choice. I felt the pull of countless possibilities, yet at the center of the chamber, a single path of steady, unwavering light emerged. I took it, and the moment I did, the labyrinth reshaped itself, walls folding back, ceilings opening into skies of radiant color, rivers of flowing light weaving between floating islands of crystal. Creatures moved with effortless grace, forms that defied definition yet radiated awareness. I realized the labyrinth was both teacher and participant, observing my reactions, shaping experience, inviting discovery. I reached a plaza where multiple paths converged, each marked by subtle shifts in light and shadow. The figure spoke, voice harmonizing with the pulse of the world. "Here, you will choose not just where to go, but who to become. Paths are infinite, yet each step shapes not only the labyrinth but the traveler within it." I hesitated, feeling the weight of choice, the thrill of discovery, and the thrill of potential. The key pulsed in my hand, guiding, reminding, affirming. I stepped forward onto a path lined with floating lanterns, each containing a spark of consciousness. As I passed, they flared with recognition, revealing glimpses of emotion, insight, and knowledge. One spark separated from the rest, floating alongside me, a companion without form, a guide without command. It whispered through thought rather than words. Every encounter here is a lesson, every perception a mirror, every choice a step toward transformation. I understood then that the labyrinth demanded presence, awareness, and engagement. It offered insight without imposition, reflection without judgment. I moved deeper, following the spark, entering a chamber where the walls were translucent, showing corridors that looped impossibly, folding in on themselves in fractal patterns. Light and shadow moved as if alive, responding to perception, shaping the experience in real time. I felt exhilaration, wonder, and the subtle tension of uncertainty all at once. At the chamber's center floated a crystal sphere, larger than any I had seen, radiating light that was both warm and sharp. illuminating layers of reality previously unseen. As I approached, the sphere responded to the key in my hand, expanding to envelop me in brilliance. I was no longer merely in the labyrinth. I was part of it, intertwined with thought, perception, and consciousness on a scale I had never imagined. I glimpsed paths beyond understanding, corridors folding into infinite potential, shadows revealing truths unspoken, and in that moment, I realized the labyrinth was not a puzzle to solve, but a living, breathing entity, infinite in scope, and yet aware of my presence within it. The figure appeared beside me once more, smiling with a serenity that was both grounding and uplifting. "The journey is eternal," it said, "yet each step is meaningful, each reflection essential. You walk not to conquer, but to understand, to engage, and to evolve." I stepped away from the sphere, feeling the pulse of the labyrinth in rhythm with my own, aware that every choice, every observation, every act of attention was shaping both me and this infinite, luminous place. And as I moved into the next corridor, the spark of consciousness flaring beside me, the world shifted, revealing new paths, new challenges, and new revelations. I realized then that the true adventure was not in reaching an end, for the labyrinth had none, but in the active engagement itself, in the courage to explore, to perceive, and to transform with every step. I walked on, heart open, mind alert, every sense attuned to the whispers, reflections, and infinite beauty of the labyrinth, knowing that what lay ahead was